Hi, my name is Callie Gardner, and this is my interview for Module 3 for EDU 304. So, a little bit of an introduction. The interviewee that I chose to interview for this presentation is my current store manager named Rima Totah. Rima Totah is a coffee house leader, which is another term for a store manager at the Starbucks Coffee Company. She's also a store manager trainer, and she has been at the company for over 3 years now. Our interview was held yesterday, September 7th, via Teams. Rima did request not to be recorded, so I did take extensive notes. I do have a Google Doc that is linked at the end of this presentation. If you are interested in reading the full interview notes that I took with her. Some roles and responsibilities. So, what are some common responsibilities in the role as a store manager at Starbucks? The biggest quote that I took away from that was that leading people is the biggest responsibility. A lot of times, leaders will go straight to business acumen. They'll think about the analysis, they'll think about the sales as being the top priority. And while it is an equal priority, people need to come first and then that business acumen, mostly because you can't have the business if you don't have the people backing you. This helps create culture in the store, and it also helps with inventory practices. Rima's favorite responsibility in her role as a store manager is watching the growth of her team. Um, and she knows that it's a responsibility to help the team grow. If you only look at business, then you are literally failing your team. Your primary should be your team, and everything else falls into place suit. Um, a lot of what we were talking about in our interview with her, or in my interview with her, was about being a people leader. When you're a people leader, you look at your team as a team. You have to be genuine. You cannot be fake. Transparency allows you to lead people to growth, which allows for wins, the fails, the ups, the downs, and the learning to build that team. The dignity, respect will always allow teams to follow you as a leader or as a people leader. Diving a little bit deeper into leadership style, she's a people leader. Rima is authentic. If she could assign herself one word, she would say authentic as her leadership style. She's extremely confident in her role. Again, she's been in this role for over 3 years. She has extensive retail experience, and she just is who she is. What you see is what you get. There's nothing lying beneath the surface. Rima is Rima. The quote that I pulled from one of the articles from our reading materials is, as a leader, you can share the bigger picture so that team members can buy into the company's overall vision. For those of you that know Starbucks, Starbucks is very people driven. It's very partner led. So partner is a term for employee. We are called partners because we own shares in the company. And we build the company together. We aren't just employed by the company. A little bit of data-driven decision making. One of the questions that I asked Rima was, what is an example of data that you have to analyze to set goals for your team? I feel like this can be pretty much self-explanatory if you think about a business standpoint, but business acumen is one of the biggest things that you have to analyze. It's about sales, it's about customer connection scores. It's how we rank if a customer enjoys where they're coming or if they don't enjoy it. Transaction counts, which is how many people are coming per half hour, how many people are making purchases, how much they're spending, what channel are they purchasing from, are they mobile ordering, delivering, are they ordering food, are they just ordering drinks? Out the window metrics. So, out the window metrics is how we determine how fast we're moving our customers through our line, whether that be both in store and in the drive-through. And then obviously we have inventory data. Inventory data is literally what we have in stock, what we're able to sell. If we don't have it in stock, we can't sell it. Um, One of her favorite data metrics to analyze is sales. She says when you are up, especially, it is her favorite because it takes precedence over something that you might not be excelling in another area. So for example, if you're excelling in sales with less transactions, you still look good overall metric wise. They're going to look at the sales, they're not going to look at the amount of transactions that you have. At the end of the day, the goal is to make money, but it also leads to bonuses for salaried managers, which is a point that Rima made that it's kind of something that's a positive. So for learning experience provided for others, the question I asked was, what would you say is your biggest lesson that you teach your team? She said this one was hard for her because we teach lessons every single day. It's all we do. Um, But she explained that the biggest lesson that she teaches is if you see something, then say something. Communication is key. One thing she always tells me is clear is kind. She wants her team to know that it's okay to go to your leader when there's a problem. Often, leaders can portray themselves as standoffish, or their people are unable to come to them, or they're not going to have a way to solve the problem. But you really have to instill that trust with your team so that they're comfortable coming to you. She always wants her team to come to her, and she wants to be an approachable leader, which I know her pretty well. That is exactly what she is. So, a little bit of assessment and evaluation from others. I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a spin on this because we evaluate people all day long. That is what we do. That's what coaching for performance and development looks like at Starbucks. I first asked her how she regularly checks in with herself, and how she kind of does self-evaluations. She said this was hard. We had a tough weekend, so this was a little bit raw for her when I asked her this question. It can be really tough to check in with yourself, is what she told me. She likes to connect with her peers or other store managers in our district. It isn't just about sitting with yourself and writing down on a piece of paper, but also evaluating if you really need to like take a step back, and getting different or similar perspectives with another leader. If you don't check in with yourself, you get away from the job that's at hand and you don't prioritize your work-life balance either. So, my leader's specific use of optimism and positive thinking, I asked, how do you remain positive and calm in stressful situations? Again, it was a really, really busy weekend. She said, we are human. It just can be difficult sometimes. There are times when it's hard to stay calm in stressful situations. The day is always going to end, she quotes. Tomorrow is going to be a different day, but you have to be able to present yourself to your team in a positive light, even if you're stressed. If you're stressed visibly, your team will be stressed too. At the end of the day, you just have to do it, and your team will just take lead or take your lead. So, advocation is a really big thing for Rima. All we do is talk to our next level leaders, which is going to look like you have your star manager level and then you have your district manager level. Advocating is speaking to our district manager, who then speaks to the RD, who then speaks to all these people above her. So, advocation is easy. You just have to have the courage to speak up. You have to be willing to challenge those leaders that are above you. If you don't agree with something, then you need to speak that, because sometimes your perspective is an outside perspective that they wouldn't take, to begin with. If someone above her is saying something she doesn't agree with, she has to have the courage to voice her own opinions for what is best for her team. Um, in conclusion, Rima is just she's an exceptional example of what good leadership in a company like Starbucks that stands for organizational leadership is. Not only does she lead with empathy and transparency, but she just leads as herself, her authentic self. Rima is a strong leader at Starbucks who is always exceeding expectations and growing with everything that she does. If I could give her more praise, I would, but there's not enough words in the world to give her the kind of praise that she deserves. Like I said, the link to the full interview questions and notes are down below if you want to get a little bit more insight as to what it looks like in a store manager's day-to-day life with the questions that I asked her in her interview. And then finally, I do have my references. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this gave a little bit of insight into organizational leadership at Starbucks, as a company. Thank you.